Earlier this year, WW and I traveled the country on a tour for wellness.
Are you ready to activate your vision?
Now, being and staying well is more important than ever. Welcome to WW Presents Your Life in Focus, a vision forward, the virtual experience.
Hey everybody, happy Saturday! It's week 2 of our virtual tour experience and we're live around the world. Last week was really great, so rewarding. People from across the country, our country, USA, also Germany, the Philippines, Brazil, Sweden, Canada, Dubai, the UK, and more all joined us this week. I see you, Melbourne, hello, Australia, Zimbabwe, and Zimbabwe being represented in the South Africa. Are you here too? Thank you so much. I see you all. Chicago, Jupiter, Speedway, Indiana. This would have been the 500. Oh my gosh. So, hi everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. Last Saturday, we talked about staying present and focusing on what you can control and understanding what you can't and making us well in this very moment, just staying in this moment. I am well in this moment. I'm hoping that that practice solidified for many of you. Stacy from Facebook posted that she had a total priority shift. Thank you, Stacy. I wasn't expecting total priority. Dee Dee participated in that Zoom webinar and said that it was a reset for her. I'm so glad because I believe that this entire time behind closed doors, behind our fences, in lockdown is an opportunity if you have your hierarchy of needs met to reset. So all of us who have the privilege of having this conversation today and aren't worried about whether we're going to have shelter and aren't worried about whether we're we're going to have food can move to how can we be the best we can be in this moment and prayerfully think about all of those people who don't even have the privilege or option of thinking about how to get better in the moment because they're just trying to survive. So Kate Hudson and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson checked in with us last week. And The Rock said that he's learning to be, wasn't that cool? It was so cool. The Rock said he's learning to be tender with, I love that word, tender. I've been using it all week now because The Rock said he was learning to be more tender with both himself and his family while in quarantine. And I think it's so interesting because I hear a lot of pushback on, oh yeah, celebrities in their mansions and celebrities, but everybody has to learn how to function in this new way of being. So to hear that The Rock actually said for the first few weeks he was a little wobbly, I found that very comforting and reassuring. And learn to be more tender with himself and everyone in his family. So we're going to talk more about that today. So I want to say thank you for saying yes to us again this Saturday. Thank you. This week we're talking about relationships in the time of social distancing. And that is a biggie because what I know is that the health of our relationships is really a huge part of what makes us as individuals well under regular circumstances. And now it's really, I know for a lot of people feels, a lot of you, right? Feels like a pressure cooker. So as I've been saying, I said this last week, I've been saying to all my friends, when we come out of this pandemic, I think we're gonna have lots of new babies 9 months from now, and you're gonna have lots of breakups. And all of it's good because in any crisis, and I, like the rest of you, have never experienced a crisis like this, I'm always asking the question, what is this here to teach me? What is this here to teach me as an individual? And what is this here to teach us as a collective consciousness? Everything you do is a reflection of how you feel and who you are. Everything you do, think about that, is a reflection of who you are. And this moment just puts a magnifying glass on that, a really intense one. And I know over the years when I was doing the Oprah show, all those years, people used to always say to me when I asked what would make you happy, Everybody always answered, spending more time with my family, spending more time with my family. I just wish I could spend more time with my family. I don't think anybody wanted this much time. I know that, one of the things that's bugged me over the years is Stedman has this habit of leaving all of his papers out. I mean, like he doesn't use drawers, y'all. He has an office in our house, but he doesn't use drawers. So the papers are all over the floor, stacked like wall to wall. And I had a rule in the house. I had to have some kind of regular, like, I don't want to have to see the papers when I'm passing down a hallway. So your papers can't go past a certain line. And I think 2 weeks ago, he realized he wasn't going to be able to keep them beyond the line. So we're fortunate enough to have a guest house here where he was quarantined when the COVID-19 lockdown first started, and he just moved all the papers there. So I'm feeling pretty good because the papers are literally out of the house for now. But we've all had to learn to use what I call softer tones in the house. The other day, last week, I was trying to prepare my um, speech for the worldwide Facebook graduation, and one of my daughter girls is here, and I'd asked her to help me with the speech, and then she came up to help me, and she said, "You haven't even started?" And I said, "Ouch, ouch, 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 hurts me. Those words are hurting me right now. Could we just have softer tones?" So we're all learning within our family unit here to understand that everybody is at a higher pitch and that we have to use softer tones with each other. We're going to talk today about that and also about a lot of people who are with their family and still feeling very much alone. My friend, Pastor Wintley Phipps, said to me a long time ago that love is choosing to be at your best when your partner is not at their best. Think about that for a moment. Love is choosing to be at your best when your partner is not at your best. Well, I think this moment is a real test of not just who we are, it's a test of character and who you choose to be able to step into this moment when nothing is really optimal and choose to be your best when it isn't its best. Also, as I was saying, there's going to be a reckoning of a lot of relationships. And I think that's all good because anything that moves us further into where we're supposed to be in our own level of consciousness and our own evolvement here as humans on the planet, who you were meant to be, anything that gets you closer to that, that's a good thing. And I think so many people have been involved in relationships and the busyness of doing, and using that busyness as a distraction to avoid connection and intimacy. And even if you weren't purposely doing it, the busyness keeps you distracted and disconnected in a relationship long before the pandemic. And now that you're both sitting in the house together and there's nowhere to go and there's no busyness outside of the house, all of that stuff comes up and is very, very triggering. And the real question is are you with the partner that you want to sit on the porch with? I use sitting on the porch as an example because I grew up sitting on the porch with my grandmother. It was a very comforting thing to me. I still sit on the porch. It's just a better porch than when I was growing up, but I love sitting on the porch. Um, Also, millions of people who've been quarantined alone and coping with isolation. So we want to talk about that today. My friend Gail is one of them who is not having a good time at all. I was worried about her. I had said that if, after 50 days in the house, if she didn't go out, that we were going to have an intervention. She finally went out for like a half an hour and then went back in. So we're talking to people like Gail who are having a difficult time because she is the most social human being I've ever read, heard about, or seen. People are asking big questions. Gail said to her children, "Look, if I get sick, put on the PPE equipment and fly to New York and come be with me. I don't hear nothing about being alone." And a lot of people are thinking about who will care for me if I get sick. We're going to talk today about alone being versus being lonely. We're going to talk with Tracy Ellis Ross. about that in a bit. I have to say, this whole concept of lonely is not something that I relate to. And I was trying to figure out why when I hear so many people talking about feeling alone, even with their families or being lonely. I don't think I've ever felt it. And over the years, every person that came on the show, I could always find some thread or connection. Loneliness is not something I relate to. I think because I grew up alone with my grandmother, isolated in rural Mississippi, and I just learned how to be with myself in a way that comforted me. So I learned to reading to the chickens and the pigs and all that stuff. That's why when I go to talk to kids in schools, they ask me, did I know Abraham Lincoln? Because I sound like I grew up with Abraham Lincoln, no running water. But so it's not something I relate to because I learned at such an early age just to be comforted with myself. And also, I was a very, you know, spiritual, religious kid growing up, and not just spiritual, but also very religious. And so I believe that the greater God was literally my father, and that I was never alone. So I want to talk to an expert today about that. We're going to reset and re-examine relationships with yourself or others. What I know is that social distancing does not have to mean social disconnection. So when we were creating this experience, we knew relationships were going to be a big conversation. So we invited renowned couples therapist, best-selling author of the book Mating in Captivity, and host of the popular podcast Where Should We Begin? Esther, hello. Hello, Esther Perel, to join us. Esther, when the quarantine began, you started a special podcast series called Couples Under Lockdown. And I want to know, what would you say is the most pervasive issue facing couples in quarantine right now? Hi there, hi there, hi there.
Hello, hello, hello. So,
Hello, hello.
as you so well described, I mean, the basic structure of our life literally came to a screeching halt. The rhythms of our life, both at home and at work, our routines, I mean, it changed in a blink. And we're not just working from home, we're working with home. We are in the same place, a partner, a parent, a teacher, a colleague, a friend, a child of, and we don't leave the house to change clothes, to go to a place. The time and the space has been completely contracted. And then to go back to something you just said, disasters operate as a relationship accelerator. You suddenly have a sense
Yeah.
that life is short. And when life is short, you say, what am I waiting for? And either you say, what am I
Mm-hmm.
waiting for? Let's move in together, let's make babies. Either you say, life is short, I've waited long enough, open the door and let me out of here. And that's why you're going to get your babies and your breakups.
Oh,
So
say that again. I just want to, I'm writing that down. Everybody, think of that, what Esther just said. It's a disaster accelerator, is what you said?
disasters are relationship accelerators.
Accelerators.
Yes.
Mm,
They make
we're going to
you
give an
think that life
A
is
snap to
short
that.
and you don't have any time to waste anymore. And you get in touch with your priorities and the essence. And therefore, you either emphasize the beginnings, the commitments, the strengthening, the connection, or you emphasize the endings and the disconnection.
This is so good. So I love that because that explains why so many people are feeling the same thing.
Yes, this is actually normal. This is a reaction that has been studied. This is research of all disasters, actually. The difference with this one
Wow.
is that it's not a tsunami that came to you. You saw it coming, it passed, and now we are in the aftermath. We are living with acute stress and we are living with prolonged uncertainty. So, in a couple, what you see, and the couples under lockdown were in Sicily, Germany, New York, Nigeria, and what they highlighted was that either people really experience a renewed sense of appreciation for their partners, for their life, for the family that they haven't had enough time with. And they feel curious and they notice, my God, you do all that work. I didn't even notice how it was always done. I had no idea it was so much. And there's a real sense of warmth, tenderness, reconnecting. or it can go all the way to the other side, where under acute stress, and that too is normal, people feel more irritable, more impatient, more thin-skinned, like you said to your person when she came to say, have you started your paper already, your rehearsal? And basically acute stress will heighten this way that we turn on each other, and some people will just jump into a pool of blame and conflict, and some people will literally turn away from each other and just kind of suffer in silence. You have the whole range here, but it is really about connection and disconnection.
So you say that we're experiencing what you call an expanded view of ourselves within our relationships, and that can go in two directions. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
This
So the
expanded
way I would,
view.
the expanded view is like this. You can, every relationship has cracks, but when you are living like this, you are either people are complaining about being too much with each other, on top of each other, either they are really feeling that they are way too much far away from each other. Sometimes they're not even confined in the same place. And so the cracks become
Right.
highlighted. But the light that shines through the cracks also gets highlighted. So people get in touch with the strength and the resilience of their relationship, or they may also get in touch with the flaws and the stuff that is just kind of, past due date. It's both and. Either people really have a sense of how much they need the other person and how much they get from that interdependence, because all of us are experiencing a heightened sense of interdependence. But sometimes you sit next to
Well,
these
and
people. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah.
No,
Go
no.
ahead. Sometimes you could finish.
No, I was going to say sometimes, part of the worst things is to experience the loneliness of love's agonies. It's one thing to be alone, it's another thing to be lonely next to the very people from whom you would want to experience that warmth, that care, that attention,
Ah.
that gratitude, that appreciation. And you just feel like you've become a function rather than a person.
And that's why people feel, thank you for helping me to understand that. That's why people feel lonely even when they're a house full of people, or lonely even when they're with their partner, because they're not getting what they desire or need from that partner.
When you described being alone as a child, you said, I was not lonely because I learned to have a relationship with myself and I had a relationship maybe with grandma. Sometimes when I am alone, I'm alone. But if there's a person next to me with whom I expect that there should be something more, and that person doesn't lift their head from their phone, that person didn't even thank me for cooking this
Right.
2 hour meal, that person has been completely shut down, that person rarely says thank you. You get it?
I
That's the
get it.
feeling.
I get it. And this is what I want to say. This is what I say to, because I have help, and everybody, comes in sometimes with, when all the time now wearing masks, but when the help has the day off, I'm now cooking. And I would say everybody is really super appreciative, which, as I was, my day to cook yesterday, and everybody's so happy. I make these things, I make love sandwiches with the melted cheese and the buns and all that. And everybody was so happy. And I was thinking about all the women and some men who are cooking for their families, and everybody just sits down and eats like this is what you're supposed to do. So I can imagine, and I don't have to do it all the time. My eyes water really when I think about y'all who are out there having to make 2 and 3 meals a day. So we decided in our house, mainly because on the days I have to cook, that you're going to get one meal, and we're going to all agree that it's going to be one, and then everybody is old enough to, for the rest of the day, get whatever you want. But my heart goes out to, and I feel so deeply what it means to do it every single day, and you got to come up with something new the next day, like you're the restaurateur, and people just sit down like that's what you're supposed to do. No appreciation for it.
And if you don't do it, then they have a lot to say. See,
Yeah.
when it becomes
Yeah.
distress, it's like we take the good for granted. What's the point of making a big deal about it? But when it's not there, we make the criticism
Yeah.
very pronounced. But I mean, people will cook because they need to cook. They'll do the laundry, they clean the floor, they change the sheets, but they'll do it differently when there's a sense that somebody else actually has seen it, has noticed it, has paid attention, and maybe
Appreciate it.
even is able to
Yeah.
say, thank you,
Yeah.
I really appreciate this, you know? That's the piece that is often missing here. You sense the couples where people say, wow, I had no idea this is so much work. Can I help? Kids too, not just partners, who say, versus the people who just come down, this is a given. I'm entitled to this. And when people start to feel invisible,
Yes.
used, taken for granted, that's when the loneliness starts to really creep in.
Well, I think you are preaching this morning, Sister Esther, I must say, because I think the whole country resents people taking advantage of their privilege. And even in the microcosm of our own homes, when people take advantage of their privilege and feel entitled to things that you are working to make happen, it feels the same as if it is the macrocosm of the world
Yeah.
taking advantage of its privilege. Same thing. Last week,
Same
Kate
here.
Hudson told us that this time in lockdown, um, for her, that showed her that she absolutely knew that she was with the right person. Let's take a look at what Kate said last week.
Now more than ever, I realize that my relationship, Danny and I's relationship, is incredibly healing. The way that we work with each other, and whenever he allows me space to recognize that that I have to move through something, and and there's a lot of tag teaming going on right now, and I think a lot of people are feeling that. And if you don't have the partner that you can say, hey, tag, you're it, then it gets very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so when those things kind of come up, it is the opportunity to really ask yourself, am I with the right partner?
Well, many people, Sarah, are finding themselves coming to terms with this question: Am I with the right person, or I always knew I wasn't? Do you agree?
May I say, I would like to add the missing piece. I think that any time you ask
Yeah.
yourself if you are with the right partner, you also would like to ask yourself, am I being the right partner? Because am I the partner
Mm.
that somebody else would want to be
Snap,
with?
snap.
It's so easy to point fault at the other
Mm-hmm.
person. You didn't look at me. Well, did you? I would if you do. Really? Après vous? You first? It's like there is
Yeah.
such a tendency to want to think that love is about the other person when it is also about who you are. And often, if you want to change the other, you change yourself first. It actually works the other way around. So
Mm-hmm.
I totally understand what she's saying. And it's wonderful. She talks about how they are able to really be there for each other, support each other, trust each other, reduce the stress together, and all of that. But what she's emphasizing is what the partner is doing when in fact a relationship is always of two people.
Wonderful. So one of the reasons WW is so helpful to me and so many people around the world is because it's all about tracking and keeping things on track. And so, we have a workbook, and I want to go to that workbook now. And we're, trying to get everyone to ask questions for themselves about um, what being confined means to them in their relationships. Tracking your emotional wellness is just as important. So let's see where everyone is tracking their relationship with their partner and themselves. Everyone, pull up your workbook pages. Esther is going to stay while we take this assessment and help answer your questions. That includes everybody on Zoom, Esther, and Facebook and YouTube. So add your questions, guys, to the comment section, and we'll try to answer some of them. Okay, today's workbook pages were included in the email that we sent when you registered at www .com/Oprah. So remember that if you weren't able to download them, we're going to put the pages up on the screen right now, and you can either write down your answers at home, or if you are on Zoom, you can participate in an interactive poll. To do that, enter your answers at the prompts on your phone or laptop, and then Zoom is going to tally our collective score so that we can find out how we're all doing as a whole. So first, let's take a moment to read why connecting is vital in this time. The ability to find healthy ways to connect to both ourselves and others can boost comfort and security during this pandemic and help us successfully navigate the heightened emotions we're all feeling. Whether you're together or alone, social distancing offers the opportunity for us all to reset or recommit to our relationships while we're at home. So here we go for the workbook exercise for week 2 on connecting. So this is how you score. 1 is not me at all. 2, sometimes me. 3, often that's me. And 4, woo, that's me. So now we're going to read through the questions. Remember, this is a check-in, just to give you an idea of where you are in this moment. No SAT, not that heavy. Then select what most resembles you, and it's going to register in the Zoom poll, okay? I feel the relationships in my life are growing stronger during this time. Is that not me at all? Sometimes me, often that's me, that's me. I'm finding ways to stay connected to communities that are important to me, like my extended family, neighborhood, place of worship, or gym. Are you doing that? Not me, sometimes, often, that's me. Don't forget to scroll down and hit submit at the end, y'all. Whether I'm in a single household or living with others, I'm using this time to strengthen relationship I have with myself. Whew, big time important. Not me at all, sometimes me, often that's me. That's me. When faced with someone's fear and anxiety, I choose compassion, softer tones, over criticism or impatience. Is that not me at all? Sometimes me, often that's me. Woo, that's me. I try to help others who are struggling more than I am, even if it's dropping off groceries at their doorstep or sending a text to an anxious friend. Not me, sometimes me, often that's me. Woo, that's me. Now everybody add up your score. Not hard to do. And I'm going to tell you what your score means. Raise your hand if you scored 5 to 8. 5 to 8. Our team is going to find you in our gallery, so keep your hands raised. Okay. Is that Diana Mitchell? Is that you? 5 to 8 over there? Hello.
I had
Diana
a
and
9.
Todd?
My husband had Todd. Yeah, he had 7. Yeah. Hi, Oprah.
Ooh, 9. Your husband Todd scored 7. So you reached out earlier this week. Hi, y'all. How you doing? Happy Saturday.
Good.
You reached out earlier this week asking for advice, and you say you've never been physically closer, is what I heard you said to the producers, but you've never felt further apart. So tell us what's going on.
Yeah, well, we have a really easy vibe in our relationship. We're best friends and we're married, so we're really lucky. And when quarantine first hit, so we're in New York State, not New York City, and so we've been sheltering in since March 15th. The first few weeks, it was all about staying safe and getting through it, and we were okay. We were still gelling, and then about a month ago, we kind of just like hit a wall, and we've been struggling since.
You said that before the quarantine, you and Todd were like a well-oiled machine, but now you'll be sitting together during your us time at night and start feeling so alone. Is that for both of you? That for you too, Todd?
Yeah, I think for myself, I'm kind of going through the motions and just trying to get through this whole period. I thought it was going to be like a 6-week thing, and then we'd be back to normal. And I just feel like I'm not focusing on, the present moment, because I'm so distracted about, what's going on and not being able to do the things that we love to do.
Like we have normal date nights
So
and things like
Esther,
that. Sorry.
So
say it again.
Oh, we used to have normal
Say it
date nights
again.
and all that good stuff. But now we spend our nights watching, I'm not kidding, Celebrity Bowling from 1973. Like that's a real thing. Like date night, Celebrity Bowling. And I enjoyed it. Like that's the scary part. Like this is a rut.
It's a rut. Okay, Esther, why is this feeling happening even in couples that before the quarantine felt totally in sync?
I mean, the first thing I really want to say is how normal it is. This is not you. This is in the nature of this beast. It becomes exhausting. It has no end. You went in, so you thought it was a 2-week thing. Then the 2-week thing became 6. Now you are at 10, and you have no idea when it's going to end, and we're not going back. We don't know what we're going towards, but we're certainly not going back. And so this lassitude, this kind of lethargy is really settling in on a lot of people. But part of that demands for you to really water the plant. You're not a cactus, and it starts to feel like, and for that you have to be willful and intentional. You're going to watch your celebrity show, and then you're going to say like that in a surprise, meet me at 8:30. I made a reservation. But of course, you're not going anywhere. You're just going to get all dressed up. You're going to meet downstairs. You're going to clear your table where you usually do the work. You're going to turn that table into something that has meaning of it, that is said pleasure, connection, playfulness, aliveness, rather than just survival. We're going to live as well. And you're going to create that the same way that people ask their children to use their imagination. You can be physically confined in this moment, but your imagination is limitless. There's no borders. It can leave the house.
That's awesome.
Great.
How's that
Thank
sound,
you.
guys? It's nodding your head, right? You're nodding your head because it sounds good.
Yeah, that's something I definitely want to try to even tonight. So hopefully make it.
You can say to her, what do you want to eat for lunch? And it's like, but you can also text her and just say, can I take you out? And the minute this playfulness, the minute you engage with the stories that you're not able to live in the boundaries of the confinement itself, the world opens up to you. And this is something that we stop doing, because we enter into this another day and another survival day, and we forget that there is celebration and pleasure in the midst of crisis too.
And Diana, I hear you on WW member, and you say working the program is the one thing that you feel you can control right now. How so?
Yeah, it's funny because I lost a lot of weight on Weight Watchers, the previous Weight Watchers, and then I gained weight when I was pregnant, and my daughter's 2, but I hadn't really taken care of myself. And when quarantine hit, I'm like, no, this is it, because I kept starting and stopping. I didn't have the time to focus. But the one thing I've done is focus on tracking my food, meditating, going for walks. I'm really active on Connect, and it feels like the one thing. And so a lot of people are gaining weight, but I've been losing weight. So that's the one really good thing. And Todd's really, really supportive too.
Well, I can't wait to see what happens after tonight.
Thanks.
Thank
you, Oprah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Okay, back to the scores. Who scored 9 to 12? 9 to 12? Okay. Is that Selena up there? Hi, Selena. Waving Selena. Guys, can you put Selena in my screen? Selena's in red. She's right up there.
Hi.
There you are. Hi.
Hi.
Hi there. So
Hi.
tell me what's going on. You made some attempts to strengthen relationships, but there's certainly room to grow. How can you create more opportunities to connect and build on the ones that already are in existence for you?
I think maybe being more patient and empathetic with the people around me and people I'm sort of talking to. A lot of Zoom calls on the weekends and things like that for us here in Australia. So Melbourne, Australia.
Melbourne. Oh, Melbourne. Hello. What time is it there?
Oh,
Another
it's
day.
almost 2 a.m., I think.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us at 2 in the morning. Wow.
My pleasure.
So tell us your situation. What's going on?
So I've been working from home for, several months and with my husband. So just the two of us in the house. And, sometimes it's difficult to, I think I relate to the other couple that we just spoke to, feeling the same. You don't know when it's going to end. And I just sort of feel like my best self is kind of at the other end of this. But, I want to try and do better with that.
Well, I think the advice for Diane and Todd also applies to you too, that Esther just offered, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for checking in with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Oprah.
13 to 17, 13 to 17, where are y'all? Okay, 13 to 17. Shoshana, I see you there. Is that your name? Shoshana holding up 14, hello.
Hi there.
Hi there. Takes a second, I guess. Hi there, where are you from? Where are you
Hi,
from?
Oprah.
Where are you calling in from today?
Calling from my small apartment in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, nice, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Things are opening up, right? Things are opening up. People are going out.
Yeah, so a lot of restaurants are just maintaining the picking up and delivery service. I don't really know much about restaurants and stuff being sit down, but I don't think people are really interested in that since we are in the hub of the virus here in the city.
You been out yet? You been out?
So I'm a single mom of a 2.5-year-old, so I have to go out every day or I go crazy.
Yeah, have you, oh my gosh, I can't, just hear you say that, yeah.
I'm very lucky. There's a very large park a few minutes away, and we have a small community of kids that are the same age as her. So we do let the kids play together because it's a survival mechanism. And they're just out in the open. All the playgrounds obviously are all locked up and closed. And most of the kids, actually, the 2.5-year-olds are wearing masks. It's really kind of very impressive, but a little sad, dark to see your kid wearing a mask who's only 2.
I was just going to ask that, are the 2-year-olds wearing masks? And so you answered it. So you're doing pretty well though, because scoring 13 to 17 means that your social network is alive and well, but you could take it to the next level. What is a relationship in particular you'd like to pour more energy into? I was, I had that question prepared, but the real deal is if you got a 2-year-old, all of your energy is going there.
Yeah, this is really a layered issue for me. I was really surprised that I was answering and scoring kind of high because I do still feel very alone and isolated in a lot of ways. But I think it's just kind of unfortunately, the pandemic has just continued feelings that I had for at least a year prior, related to my own situation that I'm in. My parents are all the way in Boston. They've been separated from each other because my mom is currently suffering from a brain tumor and lots of other things. But it's really sad. It's hard to stay connected to your family that are far and suffering as well and sick, and friends who are teaching their kids at home at Zoom classes and learning how to become homeschool parents and things like that. But for me, every day, at the end of the day, I look at my daughter and we talk about what was the best part of our day.
Well, that's so good. That is so good. Esther, what do you want to say? Because I think what Shoshana just shared with all of us is what so many people are feeling, even those who are not, alone taking care of a 2-year-old. This separation from parents and feeling disconnected from the people who are usually your source of keeping you feeling grounded and connected.
Yes, and sometimes people realize that it's their neighbor who they've actually never spoken to, who suddenly becomes the person who brings up the stuff from the store and who goes to the UPS store for them and all of that. I think this is a moment where actually you get to rethink your network. Your parents, they may not get the help from you in this moment physically, but they may have people around them that are helping them. So that's one thing, is to broaden the circle. Number two is that a lot of people are reconnecting with friends and people they once knew a long time ago that they haven't been in touch with because they're sitting home rethinking their life basically. And that is a very interesting set of reconnections that is taking place. And then the other thing is, I think especially on this Zoom and on the notion of sitting down and looking, like we are looking at each other right now, but we're not making any eye contact. And we are constantly
Mm-hmm.
in a little bit of a delay, the opposite of what your little girl is having when she's playing in the park. And for that, I think it's actually much better sometimes to not sit down and start opening the screen and locking into the screen, but to go and take walks with our friends as we are on FaceTime or on Zoom or on the phone, but be in motion so that there is blood flow, there is energy, there is breath entering this body rather than the stillness that occurs after weeks of just sitting like that the whole time. It's
I
including
think you're
cook
so
while you have your screen open so that it is integrated in the activities of your life rather than sitting down and checking in and talking about life. Live with people.
Woo, I love that. Esther, preaching today. That's what we've done too, incorporated our own individual walks here and also walking together as a group. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Shoshana. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing. Those of you who are 18 to 20, raise your hand. I'm a 20 girl myself. Yay, hey, hey, hey. Means that we're working this connection thing. I would be embarrassed if I wasn't 18 to 20 because connection is what I've always prided myself on over the years with the Oprah show. Inclusive, substantial, thoughtful, you're working your connections. So then the question for those of us who scored in the 18 to 20, is there an isolated person in your life you could bring deeper into your circle? I just want to share with you all, I have on my phone this wonderful app. It's called Long Walks, and Long Walks, and it's an app designed literally to help you have conversations that are more meaningful and not just chit chat. And one of the inspirations from last week, I wanted to share with those of you who are 18 to 20. It says, be a lamp or a lifeboat or a ladder. Help someone's soul heal. Walk out of your house like a shepherd. Don't you love that? Be a lamp or a lifeboat or a ladder. Help someone's soul heal. Walk out of your house like a shepherd. So if you scored high and you're feeling connected and you're using this time to make yourself feel more whole and you have the privilege of that, be a lamp or a light or a lifeboat to someone else and you will feel connected. So let's see how everyone did as a whole. 2% of us, only 2%, scored 5 to 8. That's really good. 23% scored 9 to 12. 58%, that's a lot. 13 to 17, and 18% scored 18 to 20. So, WW and I have a text number, and here it is on your screen, 917-924-4450. Please text us your score and your thoughts about what your score was. We read those texts every day, so keep them coming. So many of you texted us to talk about the struggle to maintain health and relationships during a time of virtually being shut down. And one person who sent us a text last week was a woman named Tara. Tara?
Hi, Oprah.
Hi. Tell us what was going on. Thanks. First of all, thanks for texting me. You're a teacher.
Yes, I am. I teach fourth and fifth grade.
Wow, I
That's
love teachers. Teachers. I love teachers.
Thanks, Oprah. Something that's
Yeah.
been going on is, I got to see your tour in Denver, and I had a vision and I was ready to move forward with that. And then our world turned upside down. My classroom's in my children's playroom. I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old. My husband is also working from home, and I've become teacher for my students, teacher for my kids, the schedule person for my family. And we've just kind of had a hard time disconnect. We've been disconnected since then. We just haven't had a chance to recalibrate since this all happened.
All right. So what do you want to ask Esther? Because she's rocking today.
Something I'd like to ask Esther is, I feel like what has happened is we've become similar to like a business partner, where we're both working in our different corners of our home, where I'm in my makeshift classroom, he's in his office in our basement. We basically only reemerge to request things from one another, like who's going to take 3-year-old and who's going to make the children's lunch while I have a Zoom call. And how do we get that connection back at the end of the day?
Should I go?
Yeah, please, Esther.
Well, I had so many ideas for you. I mean, because the funny thing is that generally business partners are actually better to each other than what you and your husband are doing right now. They're friendly, they're warm, they pay attention. They don't just ask, they ask each other if they can make a cup of tea for each other. I mean, they're bringing a much more lively version of themselves. So here are the few things you can do. You have a reality, and it's very challenging. You have 2 little ones, and you have to teach the other children. So I'm not going to minimize a thing, but there are a few things that can really soften this whole reality, and that has to do with, go to your husband and in the morning and just say, or he comes to you, doesn't matter. How did you sleep? Not just how did the kids do to last night. How are you? Can I do anything for you? Any special request today? You know what I would really enjoy? That little perks like that, those gestures of attention that say to the other person, you matter, not just what you do matters. And then when they do the lunch for the kids, or when they do put the load in the machine, instead of just saying thanks for putting the load, it's also nice to not only thank for the task at hand, but to actually thank the person for the quality that it expresses. Thanks for being thoughtful. Thanks for being kind. It's then you feel like you exist. It's so basic, that whole thing. And then what you also want to do is just on occasion laugh a little bit together. If you see something funny, share it with him. Don't just send it to your girlfriends. It's like, so that the house gets a little bit of that kind of juice that gets added as well. You can, in the middle of the day, text each other and just say, how is it upstairs? How are you doing downstairs? Want to take a 5-minute break? Little things that really say we matter. Our relationship is not going to die on the vine. We're not just going to be parents and forget that we also are a couple. And it takes 3 major things. One is routines, which you already have with the kids, but you want a few for each other. Just routines, so that you have a structure, and the structure will bring freedom. Rituals, special moments that separate you from the day life to the evening, from the week to the weekend, from the work to the play. Rituals, find them together, little things that you can do. For some people, just lighting a candle is a ritual. It says, okay, we separate, we enter a new space right now. And then boundaries, so that you can go and recharge whichever way you want to do it. A shower, a song with a headphone, doesn't have to be long things. I understand that there's a number of people here, and he can go and recharge. And you can tell each other, go recharge, my batteries are dead. I need you to go and recharge, so that you can then come and fill them up. And you then share each other's, charge pack, basically.
I love this advice. One of the things that's my takeaway, Tara, I don't know about you, but my takeaway is not just thanking the person that they did it, because I think we all do that, but thanking them for the quality of it. Like, not just thank you for folding that, but you really folded that really well, or you really did that very well. The other day the girls were washing the dishes, because like I'm cooking, I ain't gonna wash the dishes too. But to say you did that very well.
And I feel
yeah,
taken
absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
feel you care about me. If you know, that notion, that care, that is one of the most important currencies in a relationship. We care about each other. People like you often end up, everybody knows that you care about the kids, but you don't have the feeling that you care enough about each other. And it's not that you lack the feeling, it's that you are not expressing the feeling. The feeling is there, but it no longer is mentioned. When your kid does something, you make a point of highlighting what they have done. And when you do things, it kind of, you know, gets blurred. And then the good is chance and the bad is the other person. You know, if it got done, it's because, you know, I had some time today. And if it didn't get done, it's because it's your fault. That's
Absolutely.
Esther, thank you for that. And thank you, Tara, for your willingness to share your story. Esther, you know, last week I was saying to our group, and I think it's really crucial for you to weigh in on this. You just did really about being able to ask for what you need. And I think a lot of people haven't learned how to do that, or particularly a lot of women carry the weight that they can't ask because they feel like it's their responsibility to do everything. And I think now is a moment that teaches us to ask for what you need, to say, this is what you just said earlier, this is what would make me feel really good right now, or I would have really appreciated if you could blank.
Yeah.
Should this be a family discussion? Should this be a family discussion?
It totally can be a family discussion, but you just did something that is super important. Your question, it would really be nice if you did this. That in itself is what is so difficult sometimes. It's not asking that is difficult. It's asking in a way that heightens your chances of actually getting what you want. You can ask and say, could you do this? And you can ask and say, how many times do I have to ask? That's also an ask, you know, and it's not very enlightened when you do it. It's a way that guarantees you more likely not to get it. So I always say it's important to do a request instead of a protest, you know, and that means you ask for a very simple thing, but you ask for the thing itself. You don't make a comment on the other person for not having done it. I think sometimes women won't ask because they think they have to do it all. And sometimes they don't ask because they feel that nobody else has to ask them to do certain things. Why should they have to ask? They resent having to ask as well.
Yeah. So on the other side of relationships in quarantine, yes, I do, are people who are alone without a partner in lockdown. We heard from so many of you who are struggling with loneliness during this time. And Sarah is one of those people who says she's facing what she calls forced isolation and an uncertain future, something nobody wants to face alone, Sarah. So what are some of the realities that you're dealing with?
So I've been divorced for about 5 years, and ever since then, it's been a struggle with loneliness for me. You know, I just got out of a relationship where I was engaged, and so that ended in January, and then in February I turned 40, and then March, you know, it's like COVID happens, and so I think that, you know, where I am now, I'm trying to figure out how can I be okay in this space when I don't have that person with me, that partner who's like in it with you. So that's kind of where I am. I'm getting better every day, but I'm still like, how can I grow as a person? How can I grow as a mother? I'm a college professor. How can I be better for my students and a writer? So, you know, that's kind of where I am.
All right, Esther.
So the first thing I want to say is, even though you are living alone, you are not alone in the sense that, you may have a community of friends and all of that, but you can date. You can reach out to people. People have fallen in love in every circumstance throughout history. People have written the most beautiful love poems in the most direst of circumstances. I mean, not your life doesn't stop. You know, and actually even the online version of dating in this moment is becoming one of the more interesting changes, because you can't just go instantly and meet the person. So people are having longer conversations, deeper conversations much sooner. They ask about family, they ask about your responsibility, they ask about your sense of vulnerability. kind of talks about life in ways that don't often happen. And if you allow for that to enter, then you won't have this sense of, there was January, there was February, there was March, and now I am really doomed.
Love that. That's great. And like logically, I think yes. I hear that and I'm like, this is true. But then like emotionally, I'm like, oh. And so I'm always trying to divide okay, logic is gonna be okay, like my dad always tells me, and then this emotional part of myself that I'm like, oh no,
I mean, part
and I
of
heard
being
you
at
wanted.
home and part of being...
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
No, I don't see you anymore, Oprah. That's why I couldn't. I didn't know you were talking.
Oh,
I was going to
say that
quickly say to you.
I was going to say that for a lot of, Sarah feels like a lot of people, including Gail, like having an opportunity to be social has felt like you've lost the thing that brought you to life. Gail is one of those people who gets her energy from other people. She finds energy from being social. I mean, she's a pure extrovert. You're one of those people too, right, Sarah?
I would absolutely say yes. I mean, and I think that being single here and not in a relationship kind of amplifies your singlehood in this space, because we aren't able to go out and have all the normal connections that we used to be able to have. And probably Gail feels the same way. I mean, my time before was filled with my great friends and going out and doing stuff, but I just feel like now that I like some solitude, but this level is not for me. I'm a reader, I'm a writer, but this is like not what I want. I want to be, after this, I want it to be like a yes year. Like I'm breaking up with Netflix and I'm going out and I'm doing this. I'm saying yes to everything. And I really just want to embrace the world in a new way.
Breaking up with Netflix. Yes. Because you've seen everything. Yes.
I know.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Thank you for your insight, Esther, in this stressful time. It's been a joy being able to speak to you today.
Same here, really.
Really, really, really. Hey, everybody, let's give Esther a round of applause. I thought that was such great advice today. So many great takeaways. We loved it. Thank you so much. One of the biggest issues we know that so many people are facing during this time of isolation is having a community of support to help them stay healthy, both mentally and physically. That's what Esther has been sharing with all of us. And I'm telling you, that is what WW is built to do. It's a community of like-minded people who truly want the best for each other. And so each week we're going to celebrate someone who's achieving weight loss milestones right now, even in the midst of a pandemic. You may have seen her on OWN's Raising Whitley. She's an actress, a comedian, a mother, and WW's newest ambassador. Please welcome Kim Whitley. Hi, Kim.
Hi, how are you? How's
Good
everybody?
to see you. We're good.
Great.
It's great. It's great. People around the world joining us on a Saturday morning. It's been only a month, and I hear you've already lost 13 pounds. How do you feel?
Yes, I have. I feel great. But first, let me just say thank you to Esther. She gave me life. I took away a lot of things. Bonjour. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
So,
okay. Merci beaucoup, right?
Yeah, merci. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Gracias. All that.
Okay. What was your why for joining WW? What finally got you to say, okay, this is it for me?
Well, it was time. I have a 9-year-old son, Joshua, and I was tired. And I don't mean like just tired. I physically was tired. And back in the day when you were younger, it was about losing weight and getting healthy to be cute. It's not about cute. It wasn't vanity. I literally am physically exhausted, especially during this quarantine. Homeschooling. I'm the teacher. I'm the cafeteria worker. I'm the principal. I'm the coach. So I literally had to find something that would change how I feel. And I say during the COVID was kind of a blessing for me. And my doctor said I was pre-diabetic. And if I didn't change my numbers in 4 months, that they were going to put me on medication. And I'm happy to say, just dropping these 13 pounds, I dropped my numbers. And so I don't have to be on medicine. So let me say thank you, Oprah. Thank you, WW. First of all, let me just say thank you. I don't want to say you saved my life, but pretty much you saved my life.
No, you did it. You did that. And I will say, I was, my mother was an insulin shooting diabetic since her early 50s. And that's the best thing that happened to me when I joined WW. After the first 15 pounds, I was pre-diabetic before, same thing happened, numbers dropped, and, blood pressure numbers dropped, all of that dropped. So the benefit is not, and particularly for me at this stage of my life, is not just certainly fitting in a pair of anything, a dress or jeans, but it is the overall wellness, healthy benefits. And one of the things that's so great about you, is that you have always had this community of friends around you. As a part of our workbook this week, we asked everyone to pick a word to focus on, and you picked 2 words. What are they?
I picked present. Being present is, I guess, my biggest thing, because of connection when we had to do our workbook, and being in tune, being in the moment. And I would say appreciating every moment and being in the now. And I say that because the now is so important. I think about in the past, I used to always live in the past. I always said, oh, I wish I was a size 8 again. I wish I dated that guy again. I've wasted so much time living in the past. So I like to live in the now, and my connection to my son, I learned this from you. I have to work on it though. Being present when he comes in the room, put the phone down. During this COVID, I have to intentionally stop what I'm doing and invest in this human being. So being present to intentionally, I guess, just pour into my son in the moment. To live in the now.
Well, the most important lesson I learned about connection, and particularly to your children, those of you who watched the Oprah show all those years might have seen that moment on the show when Toni Morrison said, so I think this is what you're talking about, when Toni Morrison said, as a single mother, that when she was raising her 2 boys, that every time they showed up, she was like, pull your pants up, and what are you doing? Comb your hair, blah, blah, blah. And what she realized is that what children really want, and I realize not only children want this, everybody wants this. Your spouse, your partner, your friends, they want to know, do your eyes light up when I enter the room? When you see me, do you really see me? So when you're talking to somebody and your phone is still going, your eyes, but that moment where somebody comes into the room and you literally light up when they showed up is the thing that connects and makes anybody, your children in particularly, and particularly the younger they are, feel that I matter, that me walking into this space actually meant something to you. And how many times has your partner showed up, come home, and you never even looked up? You just keep doing what you're doing. But everybody, I have learned, wants to know. I see you raising your hand up there, Jake. I see Jake raising your hand. Everybody wants to know, when I enter the room, do your eyes light up? It's, this whole idea of connection is the reason why I love the WW app so much. You can find accountability and community with a tap of your phone. I don't think everyone knows, first of all, that there's a WW app, right? Don't you love it?
No, I absolutely love it. I call it my little genie in my pocket. Like, I rub it and workout people come out, friends that I've never known come out, recipes pop out. I literally love that app. If it wasn't for the app, I don't know if I'd have made it. I don't know if I'd have made it.
Well, the best thing is the connect portion of the app, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I love that. Even people put on, some lady put on, oh, I had a new grandbaby. Now, I had nothing to do with WW, but I was like, oh, she's so cute. It is fantastic.
It's the one place you can post. You can be 400 pounds and post yourself in a bikini, and everybody's like, way to go, we're with you. There's no judgment. There's no attacking. There's none of all of that trolling stuff. Thank you so much, Kim. Love to you and Joshua.
Thank you so much. I'm excited for the journey. And thanks to my posse. I love all of you. Thank you. I can't wait to come on and
I
let
know
y'all
you
see
got
the
your
next
posse
level.
all involved. You got your posse involved. You can follow Kim on her journey at www.com/Kim Whitley. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Stay
Kim.
safe. All right.
All right. Not going nowhere. On our nationwide tour a few months ago, we had an incredible lineup of visionaries who were so open and revealing about their lives, their wellness journeys. And one of those people is leading the charge in celebration of how a single girl brings the party during this lockdown. And she is just dancing into our hearts with that video. Please welcome. Woo! I love it. I love that video so much. I think I played it 3 or 4 times myself. Please welcome Tracy Ellis Ross. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Oprah. How you doing?
Oh my gosh, we're so happy to see you. When you did that video, were you thinking it was going to go viral around the world and have everybody? No.
No, first of all, I keep having dance parties. I love a little dance party with myself. Sometimes they're not as joyful as that. Sometimes they're about clearing the air. But I thought that was a good one to post. I'm so happy it resonated.
It did. It was the moves. It was the fact that you were like in your, all of it, just everything about it. How are you holding up during this time?
Good. I'm totally fine. I am hanging in here. You and I had a quick conversation between our other conversation. I think I play an extrovert in life, but I'm an introvert for real.
Exactly. That's exactly what I am. And you said recently that you do everything right now has to be gentle and bring you joy, which I love that because, you know, I was saying earlier that that's what The Rock shared with us last week, that tenderness is his word and yours is gentle and joy.
Yeah,
What's
gentle and
bringing you
joyful.
joy
I
in
feel
this
like I was bringing me joy a lot of things, but you know, I was working at a pace that was like work smart and work hard. And I feel like the pandemic has offered an opportunity for me to shift that, to be easy, joyful, and gentle with myself. And even in how I meet myself and how I greet myself, my feelings, the hard stuff, the good stuff, just sort of slowing it all down and softening my gaze a bit. And so many things are bringing me joy. I know that I'm very grateful for technology, but I also have really had to balance that. So, I mean, I spend time looking at nature, just literally looking at a tree or gazing out at the sky. I've been cooking a lot, which has been really wonderful. I learned how to make green papaya salad, which I thought was like extraordinary. I love green papaya salad. I usually order it. And also just really happy being tethered to some of the things that don't always have the opportunity to do that are part of the joy of my own humanity.
Well, I love what you said in Vogue magazine recently. You said the fear comes in waves, grief comes in waves, both for our world and also for the disappointments of plans that I had, ideas that I had, and for the things that are different. You're approaching this grief with what you call a Buddhist practice. What is that? What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily a Buddhist, but Pema Chodron and some of the Buddhist teachers have reminded me that there's a way to greet myself where I am, to sort of make friends with the moment, as opposed to trying to push off the difficult, sharp, and uncomfortable feelings. And it's been really helpful. I find that it's a way to soften my heart. And so holding space for myself and for the feelings, as opposed to sort of pushing them away and kind of going to the positive feeling, has actually been really helpful. Because the reality is there's a lot of really sticky, sharp loss and hurt and pain going on right now. And I'm a sensitive person. I feel it, which I'm grateful for, because I feel like we are all as strong as our most vulnerable neighbor. And this time, that's always been the case, but this time has really shown everybody that. And so I like to sort of hold that space instead of pretending it's not there.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I consciously did for the past couple weeks, going back to places where I was raised, Mississippi, Milwaukee, Nashville, Chicago, and literally doing charitable work, people trying to get, just the basics in neighborhoods where I grew up and came from, because I too feel that so deeply. And I love, I started out talking about something that you shared with me before, that for those of us who are just uncomfortable, it's a privilege just to be uncomfortable during this time, because so many people are suffering.
Yeah, and it's not to discount the feelings that anyone is having, because I don't think pain is something you compare. And I think wellness
Right.
and wholeness is mind, body, spirit. And everybody has a different gauge about that. Everybody has a different tolerance for pain, for fear, for risk, all of those things. But I really do, even when I am feeling my own sadness and grief about a disappointment of a plan or whatever that is, to put it in context and really realize that my discomfort is very, very different from people who have lost lives, can't be with their loved ones in moments of that, can't share in those
Yeah.
moments of connection, loss of livelihoods, and not knowing where the next check is coming from. The fact that in this country, people are in lines to get food, and that the reality of that is not to be, lessen your own pain, but to really put it in perspective.
I heard you have a text thread of girlfriends that have been pivotal to you during this time, right? You call yourselves Canoe Forever,
Yeah.
right? How important is that
Keanu
lifeline?
forever.
Keanu. How
So,
important has that been as a
I am
lifeline?
incredibly important. I'm single, and so I feel like it's about being purposeful in how I create my connection, and particularly during this time, is making sure that I am honoring the needs that I have and the connection that I have in different ways. So my girlfriends, I mean, the truth is that thread of girlfriends, Keanu Forever, they're all in New York. I've had dinner with them. I've cooked dinner with them. I've seen them almost more than I've seen them when I was here and them in New York. I've connected with my family a lot. I think it's been really interesting. I don't know if you've noticed this. There's a very specific way or kind of person you want to connect with right now. Like a lot of things, certain relationships have not kind of held up in this time. And I've been
Correct.
very purposeful about sort of what feels good, and being who are you laughing at? And being in the
I'm
currency
laughing at
of
Cheryl Jones in the screen, who's holding up an amen, doing a hallelujah dance when you said that. Like, woo-hoo, holding up an amen. It's true. Thank you for calling that
yeah.
out for us. Some people haven't held up. I know Suzette earlier texted us saying that she let go of a boyfriend who wasn't taking the whole thing seriously, wasn't taking the pandemic seriously. There are a lot of people who are losing oxygen along the way. And I actually think that's good, because I see
Me too.
everything in the universe moving you to a higher level of consciousness if you're willing to receive it. That's what it is all about, right?
And I also think I definitely agree on that. I also think that certain relationships have emerged that I didn't expect, that have offered a real kind of sort of compassion and softness that have helped me in this time, and it's been fantastic.
So one of the things that shifted for everybody is work. And I know your movie, The High Note, was supposed to premiere in theaters earlier this month. Come on. And you told us you told us on stage how much this movie means to you. Yes. So when and how are we going to get to see the movie now?
Okay, so it is on demand and in your homes. I'll tell you, not only am I excited for the reasons that I shared with you, but the message of this movie, in the midst of so much heaviness, it is a bright spot, and it truly is a high note, no pun intended, because that's what it's called. But it'll bring a sense of joy. And the message and the story of this is, no matter the age, the stage, the phase that you're at in your life, that it is never too late to go after your dreams and be who you are, and go after being who you are, no matter what the world is telling you you should be. And so right now it is available on almost all streaming almost all streaming platforms on demand. It's called The High Note. You can go to watchthehighnote.com to figure out where, but Apple, Vudu, DirecTV, YouTube, you can rent it in all those places on May 29th.
What a cool thing. I mean,
Yeah,
truly, what a cool thing. Is it that's almost better than just opening in theaters and having people to go out. You can get it everywhere.
You can get it everywhere. You can watch it at home. I think people should make an event of it. Put on something cute. Pour yourself a glass of something, even if it's lemonade, stem, a stemmed glass with some lemonade. Call your friends, FaceTime, any of that, so you can connect and talk about it. But that was another thing. Like we were walking towards a premiere. I was excited about all of that stuff happening. Things change, and I think we just you go with it. And you've said it so many times, and I know
what should happen.
What?
We should have a Zoom watch party with you.
I'm game for this. I want to watch it with you.
Okay, we should have a Zoom watch party. We'll talk about that, but that idea just came to me. Okay.
Okay, we can talk about that.
Movie, okay, we'll talk about that. From that movie, you debuted your single called Love Myself, and you shared that beautiful story of the first time you let your mom hear you sing. And talk about high profile. You premiered the song to a star-studded virtual audience, your mother, the legendary Ms. Ross, your siblings, and some other high profile friends, including Michelle Obama. What was that moment like?
It was so special. I did it on IG Live, which was crazy. And one of the things, and I think all of us are experiencing this, it's like how in special moments, Esther said rituals, like how are we honoring our little girls inside for these special moments that mean so much? And debuting my first single at 47 years old is bananas. It's bananas, okay? And I did it. And I thought, how am I going to do that and still feel connected and share the intimacy of how important that is for me at this time in my life to have tried something new and walked through a fear. And so I did it on IG Live. It was like 10,000 people, and it felt so intimate. And my friends showed up, and I know that like Michelle Obama and my mom are very important in the world, but they're also people that are close to my heart. And then there were all these other people. It was so beautiful, and I cried.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Well, one of the things that I think that you've been so instrumental in helping the rest of the world see is that self-care is one of the most vital things we can give ourselves. And I know earlier I was talking to the teacher, Tara, and all of you teachers who are doing double, triple overtime with yourselves and teaching at home as well. And people just can't seem to find the time to do that for themselves. Can you talk a little bit about how important that is, particularly in this moment? We give ourselves at our house now self-care Sundays.
Because I am single and because of how much output I have, self-care has been just a part of my daily rituals. So I work it in. I always ask myself, what will make my heart sing and how can I care for myself in this moment? Right now, one of the things that I've been really doing is, and it's such an easy one for everybody, but I've had a lot of tension in my body, and I do a sigh that is so amazing. I take the deepest breath that I can take, and I fill up every part of myself. I try and get the air all the way in, fill it up, and then I go, and I let all the air out, even that air.
Let's try it.
Yeah, and so fill up all the way. Let's do it together. So fill up all the way into your belly. Let it stick out. Let it hang out. Let your whole body soften. Let your gaze soften. I'll talk you through it so you guys do it and I can talk. So completely fill up into your belly. Take that deep breath. Feel the air coming in your nose, in your mouth, whichever space you want to enter through. Let it fill up through your chest, through your lungs. Let the air, that fresh air, just go all the way through your body. And then start with a sigh, just and let the sound out, let that vibrate all through your body, and let all of the air until you feel like there's literally no more air, like when you were a kid playing with that sound of and all the extra air that you haven't let out, just let it out. Everything that's been stuck in a crevice, in a crack, in a place in your body that you've been holding, those places you've been holding your breath, waiting for I don't know what, or because you're afraid. And you can do it and just keep letting it out, and then allow that space that you've created, that softness.
And the sound helps, doesn't it? There's something about this letting the sound out with it.
It just vibrates. Yeah. My vocal teacher Tamara taught me that, and I love it. It's one of the small ways you can sort of reconnect to yourself.
Thank you, Tracy Ellis Ross. Inspired by you, we're going to take a quick dance break right now. Will you join us for a quick dance?
Sarah, you're fine. I want to tell Sarah, you're fine. Make friends with the loneliness. Make friends with it. Be choiceful about it, and be choiceful and purposeful about who you're connecting with.
Yeah, and start your own Keanu group, right?
Yeah, now let's dance.
Absolutely. Oh, let's dance. Okay. So we invited our tour mate, the co-founder of Morning Dance Party, Daybreaker, Radha, to help us connect to our bodies and let go on this Saturday morning. Hi, guys. Good to see you again.
Oprah. It's so good to see you. Hi, Tracy. Hi, everyone. Oprah,
all right, take it away.
It was such an honor to open for you every stop of this tour with a morning dance party. So I'm just so excited to lead this with you this morning with 40,000 people. So just to share quickly, Daybreaker hosts virtual dance parties every Saturday, and the whole idea is to return to yourself, because dance is truly the most celebratory modality that exists. It really allows you to come home to your self-expression. And so, yeah, let's do it this morning together. Let's all stand up if you can, stay seated if you wish, but let's get moving. Okay, here we go. A few leads and follow. Here we go, hands in the sky. Yes, let's just stretch our bodies out. It's beautiful. Just feel the music enter your bodies. Yeah, Tracy, I saw your living room dance moves. All right, now let's shimmy. Oh, here we go. My co-founder and Soleil is here. Who Oprah, she loves you. Here we go. Shuffle. Personal party in your living room. Flow. Yes, Tracy. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Shoulders. We're following the leader right now. Yes. So many smiles. And that's what dance does. So let's come together. Let's go arms spread out, end to end, as if we're hugging each other. Yes. Imagine beautiful warmth of hands touching your shoulders and loving you. Yes. Or you can hug yourself like Tracy as well. Dance truly is about connection and community. So let's never stop dancing. The greatest milestones of our lives are through dance. Our birthdays, our weddings, right? Yes, hug yourself if you want to as well. Beautiful. What a gorgeous interlude. Thank you so much for having us. We love you, Oprah. We are Daybreaker again. Come join us on the virtual dance floor. Thank you so much again for having us.
Thank you, Daybreaker. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you all. Gratitude for our hearts beating and our blood pumping. I mean, as we're just dancing, I'm thinking about all of the people in hospitals all over the world who aren't able to do that. As I was doing that sigh that Tracy just taught us, I was thinking, oh, what a gift, y'all. What a gift to be able to pull air into your lungs and to be able to release it. And more than ever, I see y'all nodding up there. Stacy M. and Natasha Gay, I see you up there. Now more than ever, what a pleasure to be able to be in the moment of gratitude, to be able to say thank you that we have breath. Makes me think of Matty Stepanek, a little boy who to me felt like an angel on earth. He had a rare disease, and part of his treatment required blood transfusions once a week. And right now around the world, some people are being treated with COVID-19 have been saved by blood transfusions from survivors. And when I read that, I remembered that Matty once told me about how receiving blood transfusions from others meant that he was in some way related to people all around the world, which according to Matty is a proud thing to be. In this moment, I just want you all to know you can feel it yourselves from our conversation here today. We all like-minded people have come together in this moment because we are connected to an idea of finding wellness for ourselves and reaching higher ground in our lives. And I'm honored to be able to serve as conductor of this conversation, to offer insights, and hopefully you all had some. I had several of my own today. And as you move through the week, remember everything we do, every relationship we have, including the one we have with ourselves, succeeds or fails based on our level of true spiritual connection, first to ourselves and then to one another. I am is two of the most powerful words you can say. I am well is what we used last week. I am. So powerful. You know, Joel Steen once said that whatever follows I am, I remember I was doing an interview with him and he said, whatever follows I am is going to come looking for you. And that changed the way I used the phrase I am. So I remember he said that to me when I was filming a movie and I had been every day going, oh, I'm so tired. I am so tired. I'm so overwhelmed. So know that whatever follows I am is going to come looking for you. So make the shift to I am whatever you choose to be. I am energized, I am focused, I am connected. And even if saying an affirmation doesn't feel true, don't say something that doesn't feel true. So I didn't go from I am so tired to, oh, now I'm feeling great. I went to I am now getting my second wind. I am going to get a second win. I see up there, Cheryl, I am blessed. I see you all next Saturday. I thank you for joining me today. And remember what I shared from my app, the Long Walks app. I just love that phrase. Be a lamp or a lifeboat or a ladder. Help someone's soul heal. Walk out of your house like a shepherd. And I'll see you all next Saturday. Thanks for joining me today. Look for an email, guys, next week that'll have the new topic and workbook pages all about adapting and building a stronger, more resilient self during this time. Thanks to you all. Tracy and I are going to be keeping talking a bit. We'll be over on the Connect app, and you can see more of our conversation this Monday on the WW app. Hope to see you there. Bye. Have a great Memorial Day weekend.